Yo, what's good, everybody? It is your boy Sai, and today we are reacting to Bread Boy Weeb once again. Let's check this out. These cards are ruining Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's see what cards are ruining Yu-Gi-Oh, because there's probably quite a few.
What is the point of building new archetypes when the
Um,
best way to play them is to
yeah.
vomit out the same 4 to 5 boss monsters and call it a day? If you
Oh my
look at the
god.
history of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the last 5-ish years, I feel like we are just playing the same old song and dance until the generic pieces we use are either banned or power crept. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is no stranger to powerful generic cards influencing the game. Hell, GOAT players will convince you a format based on who can draw and recycle Pot of Greed first.
Okay, this was a really great way to introduce this. Beautiful, insane. Um, Yeah, it is literally just the same thing over and over again. Oh, look, I can bring out Appaloosa and Borderload Savage. Uh, what else is there? Baron the Floor now. There's so many generic boss monsters, and it's like the same four or five, I guess, that are really, really good. That keeps you in play. It's insane. I should probably put my headset on so we can actually hear a little clearly. I think I'm on the cord. Oh shit. Shiver me timbers and call me crazy, but this guy has a sexy voice and ain't gay, but damn.
Is a true expression of skill. But even back then, your generic cards were not your deck's main game plan. They were just the tools that got you there. I mean, you could
I seen Pot of Greed. Can anyone tell me what that card does? What does Pot of Greed do? Come on. I don't know. I can't read that card.
play a deck of all mirror forces, but I run a 0 UR deck challenge, and even
Okay, that is some sick art. That is fucking we ball. Wow. They actually make a ball. I didn't realize that. Oh my god, that's insane.
I wouldn't play this trash. Magic Cylinder Turbo is absolutely something coming, though, so be ready for that. Now, how did this shift happen from
Magic Cylinder Turbo, bro. I fucking support that. I love that. Thank you. I am going to love the shit out of that video.
toolbox to main focus? Well, let's take a look. The first sign of a shift was in the Synchro era. Regardless of the deck you played, most players made room for generic staple boss monsters like Goyo Guardian, Stardust Dragon, and Black Rose Dragon. The last one specifically was literally in every deck of this era. It had a 100% play rate. However, this era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is beloved by all besides the most staunch Yu-Gi boomers, and we just saw what kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! Appealed to them. But why is this? Because the generic monsters used were more of a toolbox. This word is thrown around a bit in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sphere, and here is where I'm going to define it in my opinion. Just like how you own a box of tools to deal with specific problems.
Okay. Before we get into the whole toolbox thing, yeah, I didn't get to play in that era. I am still pretty new to Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd say maybe 1-2 years of playing, and not a whole lot of playing with a lot of people. So Master Duel is most of my experience. So give my opinions like a grain of salt. I would say a grain of salt. But still, yeah, I've been learning a lot of like older eras and how they were. Every era had metas and crazy boss monsters, and Black Rose Dragon was one of them because he could just wipe the board, restart the whole duel. It was crazy. Anyway, I'll stop rambling on. Let's continue.
Your extra deck had monsters that could out specific boards and remove whatever your opponent had. This created a solid back and forth, with cards like Black Rose Dragon being amazing turn 2 board clearers and being countered by your opponent making Stardust Dragon. However, you could run over Stardust Dragon going second with cards like Goyo Guardian, but if your opponent has a battle trap, it stops that. Not to mention, making a level 8 turn 1 wasn't always immediately feasible, so what were you able to end on took a bit more understanding. Now, eventually, in the Synchro era, we did get turn 1 negates, but it was stuff like Quasar, which took pretty much your entire hand and deck to commit into, and even then, it was a single Omni negate. So,
Yeah, Quasar really hard to get into. Really hard. But when it's on the board, it's on the board. But it's only a one negate, which is still decent. But for Comparing it to Baron, which is a one negate, is crazy. It's a one negate. But you can get Baron out so much faster than shooting Quasar Dragon. You need one tuner synchro monster and two or more non-tuner synchro monsters. They all have to be tuners, no, or synchros, I should say. All need to be synchros. With Baron to floor, you just need a tuner and a non-tuner. And boom. There you go. Get Baron to floor. Crazy.
To make the equivalent of Barone back then, you needed two synchro
Wow,
monsters
see,
and
there you
one
go.
tuner synchro monster. Hell, Barone's target pop effect probably makes it better than Quasar, just comparing effects, because its OTK power really isn't helpful these days. But what is helpful is if you like this video and subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 3K and I can't wait to hit it. But for the
Yes. Make sure to subscribe to this guy. He is at, oh, wow, we're at 3.54. That's crazy. That's insane. Wow. Okay. So yeah, make sure you click subscribe, like the video, like I just did right there. Like the video, and make sure you like and subscribe to this video too that we're reacting to.
The Xyz era, it was much the same. We didn't really have insane first boards with the exception of the worst card ever printed. I know this video is very critical of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But I'd rather they unban any of these Link bastards before we unlock the shock. The best thing you could really make going first was something like Giant Hand, which was a 2K prize card, and Minerva, which was...
Hey, Giant Hand, you don't diss my Giant Hand. That thing's beautiful. Actually, it's okay. But it's okay. Nowadays it's okay. It's funny though. Hey, Minerva. You know what? You can get that now.
Also a 2K prize card. I didn't say the format was affordable, I just said it was different. What the Xyz era really increased was the power of toolbox monsters. Number 101, Castel, Exciton Knight, and if you really wanted to hit over something hard, man, nobody did it better than Utopia the Lightning. While for the most part, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always been a game where going first is typically better, these incredibly toolboxy eras were probably the closest we've ever gotten to a true fair side of the game, where going second isn't the end of the world. Obviously in this era, things like Dragon Ruler still existed, but even then the mirror is still quite skill dependent and is
yeah, the mirrors are usually really skill dependent. Nowadays I don't find it is. And I think that's what Red Boy is trying to tell us here. There's no skill anymore. It's just the same 4 or 5 cards, maybe 6. And that's all you see. Back in the day you would see more like people trying to implement different strategies, and now there's just no strategy. It's just the same bread and butter, and it is not good. This is not good for the game. Like, it's getting stale. Like, no one likes stale bread. It's rock hard and it tastes bad. It's not good.
Isn't super dependent on what goes first or second. Penned format was when you could really spiral into an insane amount of power going first, and spiral format was when we had gone too far. I think it would be a criminal underestimation to say Master Rule 4 and onwards.
Okay, I'm just going to say something here. People hate pendulums, but I feel like the Link era was like the worst. Because it gave us another toolbox that just ruined. We went over, like, Pendulum was pretty damn fucking far. Like, I play Pendulums, and I will say, it's not, I don't know if they should have ever been introduced to Yu-Gi-Oh! I do love them, but they have a lot of power. Not anymore, but they did when they first came out. And then Links, they just do so much for your deck. Like, they make you, like, it's insane. And I think my camera's a little bent, but yeah, no, it's crazy the amount of difference between going to Pen to Link. It's crazy.
Speed of the game changed in a way we had never seen before. I have an entire video I want to make on Link summoning as a whole, so make sure you sub for that. But for now, what I want to highlight is a change in our generic going second cards. We started with main deck cards to deal with opponent stuff, then progressed into putting them mostly in the extra deck, and now we have moved back into our disruption coming from the main deck. This was the era that really popularized hand traps, which yes, Effect Veiler existed for a while now, but things like Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre, and Nibiru had shifted the power of our disruption into these incredible incredibly focused single-use monsters. That's because we now pretty much commit most of our extra deck into building the most insane board your deck can muster. Extenders on extenders, monsters that summon from the main deck, and the final pieces that put up enough negates to stop anything and everything your opponent can throw at you. And the greatest offender of this philosophy is Apollousa, Bow of the Goddess. I despise this card with every fiber of my being, and I have zero idea how it's been allowed to be legal all this time. Realistically, think about the last 10 duels where you or your opponent summoned this card. It pretty much ends the game immediately. Because there's two options. Your opponent is going to have a specific board breaker and win immediately because you committed half of your deck's resources to Apollousa, or your opponent is going to lose immediately because with Engine and like one negate, they can't play through 3 to 4 monster negates and anything else you might have, because every meta combo deck doesn't just end on Apo, it ends on Barone, Borreload Savage Dragon, or all 3 of them. This style of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is something that I thought for the last few years we had tried to distance ourselves from after the Link era of 40-minute combo nonsense. And I see when Konami tries to make mid-range formats focused around specifically unique boss monsters come to life, and it's interesting. And while you and I might not like the specific boss monsters that shape that individual format, I think we can all appreciate not having to stare down the same handful of boss monsters every time we go to locals. Because
Yeah, I mean, we all can hate on a Rise Heart, but hey, at least it was something different and not like, oh, Apollousa, Baron de Fleur, Baron de Fleur, however you pronounce that. Everyone gives it a different name. Borreload Savage Dragon, you know, it's crazy. And then there's always IP Masquerena. Then you like go into friggin' Access Kotaker and just start going pew 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 pew. That's gone, that's gone. You know, that's all it is like. It's crazy.
Because what these cards do, for the most part, is ruin the amazing ideas and mechanics of so many decks. For example, in Adamancipator, you literally excavate the earth to find rocks to build your board with. In Monadium, you crush your balls and weave through an interconnected story of different...
No, okay, he got me on that one. That was pretty funny. That was a good joke. You added some humor to that, and I enjoyed that. You literally are just crushing your balls to get... Oh my goodness, I never noticed that. Oh my god. Ouch. Ouch. I don't want to crush my balls. Please don't tell me that. That was a good joke. I enjoyed that. That was pretty funny humor.
Different worlds and people to make your boss monsters as well. And with Spiral, you literally spy on your opponent's cards to gain intel and set up your espionage. But with all of these unique and amazing ideas, it's such a shame that the best way to play them for the most part is to spam out the generic boss monsters mentioned before.
Yep. I mean, I wouldn't say Phoenix Enforcer's generic. You do need to like create its own engine. It is very generic for like heroes. And it's fucking insane. In Master Duel you need only Verte to get this fucker out. But the TCG, I'm pretty sure Verte's banned, so it's a little bit harder now. But for now, just Master Duel, this thing's still a little bitch. Masquerena, still a very annoying card. And it gives your, whenever it goes into, like, protection, card effect protection, and then Baron de Fleur, just wow.
As fast as possible. It feels like such a waste to design all these cool concepts when you are mostly ignoring them because they aren't as good as saying no to your opponent 5 times. Now maybe
what do you want to do, Evan? But God said no!
But there is
great
one
meme. Great meme
to mention. Barone is a strange one. In some decks like Sword Soul, it plays the supplementary piece of negation. You still win the game with the Sword Soul starters and boss monsters 99% of the time, it's just there to help. I think these cards are at their best when it's made something like that. Because this is not a hate video on generic cards as a concept, because I think it's an amazing way to work it, and I think the best way to make a generic boss monster is Zeus. Zeus is one of the best designed cards in the last few years, an insanely powerful removal
Yes, Zeus, great card. Not that hard to get out, but it is good. It literally sends your whole board and their whole board to the graveyard, right? Yeah. It's good. It's a good card.
tool that gives all Xyz decks some potential to break a board going second without having to draw a specific out. This is the peak of generic support, and I hope in the future this is what Yu-Gi-Oh! Pivots to, and less about this. I mentioned before how the extra deck is mostly just combo extenders and boss monsters, but for the last 5%, this is a perfect example of great and awful design in Yu-Gi-Oh! A card like Underworld Goddess, in my opinion, is fantastic design, absurd removal at an insane cost for you, and any amount of disruption your opponent has.
Yes, this card is really insane. Really hard to get rid of. Good disruption. It really is. It's still, I can't believe this card was printed, but I think I would rather see this than any of the other cards, I think.
Can prevent her from being summoned to the board. And then there's Access Code, a card that effectively removed the concept of major weaknesses from meta decks. Access Code, and Boral Sword for a smaller degree, was when Konami basically gave up on the idea that some decks might have a better ability to OTK than others. Recoverability is a cool skill for a deck to have, especially mid-range and control builds, but it's difficult to implement in the modern game because you won't have a chance to recover if you die turn 2 to these assholes. In a strange way, they simplify aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the worst way possible, and are sort of the second half to why Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the stereotype that all the games end in 2 turns. You either end on a ton of negates, or slam them through and OTK your opponent. Now to be clear, this is not indicative of every format and every style. I think we can all agree on that. But these decks reinforce that notion till this very day. And I think the best way moving forward is to give decks back their identity and to bring back more of a back and forth. So please, we should ban Apollousa. This would not only fix all the general problems mentioned before, but this would also be a great hit to Snake Eyes, the tier 0 deck that came out a few months ago, so we know Konami.
You know what? That would be great hit for Snake Eyes, because they can get into Apollousa so fast. So fast. It's insane. And they can get to everything so fast. It's crazy. I don't understand why it's thing. And Snake Eyes itself has a lot of really good recovery. So it just keeps going. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, crazy shit, man. Crazy shit.
Konami's not going to hit it hard anytime soon. I know this would affect a ton of other decks besides Snake Eyes, but if your deck is nothing without Apollousa, you shouldn't have it. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is Breadboy Weeb, signing out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that was really cool. That was a really cool video. Fuck this ad. Well, we're just gonna... But before we leave this, make sure you, Oh, shit, look! Team APS even freaking said, this is my new favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Binge channel. Yo, it's fucking sick. Bro just got love from Team APS. It's awesome. I love it. Man, congratulations to Breadboy Weeb, man. This guy's doing great things. I enjoy his videos. Oh, I enjoy that voice, too. I mean, make sure you like and subscribe to this video. Yeah, like his video. And then mine. Okay? Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been your boy, Sai. And yeah, peace out, motherfuckers.